Okay, so at the time of this recording, which happens to be Groundhog Day of this year, 2025, the price of eggs can be anywhere from the sublime to the ridiculous. So let's just put it that way. At the moment, the price of eggs can be really quite high, but all total in general, if you divide it up into like 12, a dozen, it could still come out to be relatively okay. Not anything to write home about, but in some places and in some areas, the prices are a little better. And in some areas, the prices are absolutely ridiculous, which is why I decided to go and double check to see some of the best ways that we can store eggs to keep them a little bit longer. I'm just saying to extend the life of an egg. Well, before we get into the actual storage part, hi, my name is Jan. Welcome to this episode on my channel, the Save Money and More with Jen channel. How you doing today? Hope everyone is doing well. Okay. Who doesn't crave a nice egg breakfast every once in a while, right? Okay. Most of us do, unless you're allergic to it or just don't care for eggs. But I would say that a lot of people love to get that protein fast in the morning. It's a fast protein. And if we're really, really careful, we could even make our egg dollar stretch a little more. And who doesn't like their budget, their grocery budget specifically, to go a little bit of a longer way? That's what made me decide to double check online to see some ways that we can make the eggs last longer. I'm going to talk to you right now about the technical ways to keep the eggs to stay fresher longer, and then other ways that we could keep our eggs to last a little bit longer. Okay, so here's the simplest thing that I did learn officially by double checking. I've done it all my life. I guess I just followed in the footsteps of what my mother did, but there's a good reason she did it. So, to make the eggs that you purchase, for example, at the grocery store, last even longer, is to actually store them in the refrigerator in their original carton. You know, the carton you purchase at the grocery store? Well, keep them in that carton, okay? This is according to the experts that I've been looking at online. Keep the pointed end of the egg down. Now, it just occurred to me that there really is a pointed end of an egg. It's not truly like equally oval, if you will. Like one seems to be more of a rounded top to it, as opposed to the other side seems to be pointed. But they're suggesting strongly to keep the pointed end of the egg pointing downwardly. That's interesting. Never thought twice about that one, interestingly. So, another thing, according to what I checked, that eggs can actually last in the refrigerator in their original box, actually all the way up to 5 weeks. Just in case for those, who was not aware of that, that's a pretty long length of time. But in addition to that, believe it or not, whole eggs, can actually be frozen. So if you could crack them, this is according to what I looked up, if you could crack them and put them into a freezer safe container, so you could crack them, putting them into a freezer safe container, you could actually freeze those eggs. Very, very interesting. I like those points about the egg. So it's good to know that as far as refrigeration, freezing, and all that goes, that's some expert points to never forget to do. There are other things that we could do with those eggs that we actually have on hand. One is to kind of like use our eggs appropriately. I'll give you an example. Let's say that you enjoy sitting down to a meal of eggs. You enjoy scrambled eggs or fried eggs or however way you enjoy your eggs, as opposed to when you have it hidden in a recipe that really can be swapped out using a different rising agent. I've mentioned this in other videos, but since we're speaking specifically about the eggs at this point in time, I just thought as another reminder. So if you enjoy eggs more as part of an actual meal, like a sandwich or on a platter or an omelet, when you could, not have to necessarily put eggs in a baking recipe, for example, is what I am trying to say. So if there are ways that you could just hang on to those eggs just for specific meals that you want to actually eat eggs, that's one option. The other thing to do to consider is to cut down on how many eggs you actually eat. Many times, many people eat 3 eggs. I've seen, usually friends of mine, they might enjoy 3 eggs, or sometimes even probably a family member. But I usually just have two. But I have learned that I can actually go okay by eating a meal like an egg meal just with one egg. Now, I know a lot of people say, "Oh, Jad, you're really cutting back on that." But it's not impossible because what I do, whenever I do that, I will have a throw in, for example. I don't mind, like, I like to buy those, little done up mushrooms or fresh mushrooms or those peppers and onions. Like, I'll throw in into the scramble and add it into my one egg. That makes that egg really go far. These are just little, tips and tricks. Definitely cubed up fried potatoes with paprika on them. Oh my word, that is so delicious. And you could, have that in addition to like your one scrambled egg or one fried egg, or place that one fried egg on a piece of toast. Okay. So therefore, you don't necessarily need to use up to two eggs in a case like that. So it really kind of sort of, works out. Just have to be creative. Okay. And another thing is, let's say you have eggs on a Sunday for breakfast, right? Or whatever meal you decide to choose. Then in order to continue to stretch the eggs that you're storing in your refrigerator and don't want to have to keep buying expensive eggs at this time of this recording, then maybe the next day just be okay with a bowl of oatmeal for breakfast, or some cereal, some other cereal, or some other thing like a muffin, or a piece of banana bread, or yogurt, or an apple. You see where I'm going with this? So instead of eating eggs every single day, perhaps consider having eggs, every alternate, or, every two to, couple of days. These are just little ways to find savings. It's interesting. When there's a will, there's a way. Let's say that a person is spending about $15 to $25 a month on eggs. I know, I never thought the day would come that I'd be saying something like that for such a simple product. But like, people are paying about 25 to $30 a month. And this is just like an average family, you know what I'm saying? Where for just like a couple of boxes for like, for the month. So we have to find alternative ways. And one of the ways is to make sure that we store our eggs properly, as I, detailed earlier in this audio video. And also to, cut down on another thing like that I have noticed, like when you spray your pan, whenever you're making fried eggs, a great thing to do is to always make sure to spray your pan with my favorite is nonstick. Don't get me wrong, butter tastes great, but sometimes there's an issue, maybe with a little stickiness to the pan. We don't want to waste the egg just, crusting on the pan, getting so hard on the pan that you have to, like chunk it out with a spatula. The easiest way to not lose any portion of your egg would be to use nonstick spray. Another great way, of course, and without a doubt, is boiling your eggs. Hard boiled eggs or soft boiled eggs. You see where I'm going with this. Well, this is enough talk about eggs, but eggs are an essential meal for many, many people. And it is definitely normally a budget stretcher. And it still is actually a great deal, even though we're paying a little higher cost. But if we could find ways to even stretch it further, I say this, why not? Thank you so much for being here. I really do appreciate everybody's time. Don't forget to click like, share, and consider subscribing. Have a great day.